Yep, us crazy green divas are still here.
Reinventing ourselves yet again.
Now we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube.
You can find our videos and podcasts on all the usual places.
Still sharing low-stress ways
of living a deeper shade of green.
Well, hey everyone. Welcome to the new Green Diva show. I'm Green Diva Meg.
And I'm Green Diva Lisa.
And we're here to inform and entertain you. Hopefully. We try to give you information in an entertaining way, right?
Yeah, well, today is our Habits for Humanity show, which we may have to run a couple shows in a row.
Yeah, there's so much information.
So much information. And the idea is that we are going to share with you some habits that we can change to have a gentler impact on the planet.
Well, we have to change. There's nothing is more clear in so many levels, in so many ways, as that we have to make some big changes. And in terms of the environment and climate change, we really have to step up our game.
Mm-hmm.
And,
it starts at home.
It really does. Some people will say, well, it doesn't matter if you're recycling anymore. It's all like we've hit that. And I don't believe that. I really don't believe that. And I'm not going there. I think everything starts from us and from within, and it ripples out into the world. So I have to give my husband credit for the Habits for Humanity. We were talking about it in the kitchen the other day, and he was like in the other room, and he heard us talking. I didn't know he was paying attention. And suddenly he said, Habits for Humanity. And we're like, oh my gosh.
That sounds good. Let's do it. Yeah, I like it a lot.
We thought we would talk about the ways that we create new habits and how to make easy new habits for you and the planet that are healthier for you and the planet. So anyway, before we get into the whole thing, I just wanted to say thank you for our new audience, our new viewers and followers and subscribers.
We appreciate all the clicking around and sharing that you've been doing.
Yeah. And I'm just going to do this. This is Liv's cue to put the YouTube subscribe button up.
Yes, please subscribe, share, let us know, interact with us, let us know what you think or what you want to hear about. And
yeah. So find us, on almost all the usual channels at The Green Divas, usually.
That's THE, greendivas.com.
Or go to our website.
And ask your smart speaker. And your smart speakers will play the Green Divas for you as well.
It's always kind of fun to say.
In our very own
She who
kitchens.
shall not be named, find the Green Divas video channel or YouTube channel. And then, well, there we are. I feel kind of legit.
We've only been doing this for 10, 15 years or something.
I know, right? I know. It's
legit.
Catching on. So anyway, we want to acknowledge that change is hard. And we know we have to make some big changes. And, we already said that change, we both have talked a lot about it, and Lisa talks about it a lot, that change. I don't know why.
Is she rolling her eyes at me?
Yeah, right? I don't know why I always attribute this to Lisa, but I do believe it wholeheartedly that change starts with us. It really does. And it ripples out and reflects out into the world. And so it does make a difference, all of the things that we do and how we walk in the world. So we thought we would just talk about habits, and old habits do die hard. As it turns out, these little neural pathways, the things in our brain where habits live and how our brain deals with habits and beliefs and behaviors, they're these neural pathways. These neurons travel on. They're connected by dendrites, which I'd never heard of. I went to look this up, and I'm like, dendrites? Never heard of dendrites. Anyway, I kind of have this visual of these neural pathways being sort of like these grooves, right? And it's just so easy to just fall into that groove and do the thing that we're used to doing, that we have done, that we were taught to do as kids or whatever. I think they become ditches and ruts, really, in many cases. Some things are probably good, but anyway, to change one of those habits is hard.
It is.
And so I think it takes a lot of mindfulness. So we talk a little bit about
Mindfulness and how there you have to find ways to be conscious of what you're doing all the time instead of just moving around.
I think it is about awareness and, being aware of what we're doing and how it impacts others and the planet. And sometimes it feels awkward. You're like, because when you're being hypervigilant aware, when you're trying a new habit, a new thing, it's just weird. But it becomes a habit. I think meditation helps.
Yeah, it is a way to sort of have practice. It's a practice is what it is. It's a practice for mindfulness, and it helps you extend the amount of time you are mindful from the time you meditate to the rest of your day.
Yeah, unless you're like me. Like I'll meditate and then 20 minutes later, just running amok mentally,
I do try to be more, I think I'm getting more mindful the more I meditate, but it doesn't mean I remember a theme or for a day or whatever. Like when you do the 21-day challenge with Oprah and Choprak.
Oh, that's Deepak Chopra put together. Chopra. I love that. That's cute.
So, it's kind of a thought for the day, and I never tend to remember that thought for the day.
Yeah, but
I
think
feel
on some
like
subliminal level, it probably sticks with you unconsciously,
Let's
right? I think so. Journaling, I think, is something that helps us. It helps us remember. For me, it does. Like when I write stuff down, it tends to stick. I don't know what that's about.
That's a good idea.
And then you mentioned the 21-day thing, and there is the 21-day rule. And I learned years ago that if you really want to change a belief or a habit, that you can do a 21-day affirmation thing. And I'm here to tell you, it does work. It's not easy, but there are ways to do it, to make it easy for yourself. And
Sure.
kind of.
Post-it notes help.
Yeah. You know what?
It doesn't take that long. Just post-it note to just give you a little reminder.
So
or
I like
tying a string on something, or
like, why did I tie the string on that? That would be me. Oh my God. So I like Lisa's approach was like, let's just start with like our habits and the start of the day. It's coffee.
right.
And I thought, well, we so often so many of us just like run out and grab coffee on the way to work, buy it somewhere. We don't really think about where it came from.
Or we make it from a single serving at home, which is also not very mindful.
And over the years, I don't do those things anymore. I rarely get a Starbucks now. It's like a big treat.
We don't go anywhere, right?
Well, we don't go. Let's be honest, we don't go anywhere right now.
So what you want to do is try to find sustainable coffee, which means that the coffee is grown and marketed for its sustainability, and this includes organic, fair trade, Rainforest Alliance, or UTZ certified.
And by the way, I looked that up. I have no idea what UTZ stands for. It is.
Sustainable coffee brands are still a very small percentage of all the coffee that's grown and brewed around the world.
Nespresso is still, and those are those little pods.
Which are recyclable to the company. If you send them back to the company will recycle
And I trust that they do what they say they're doing, because my husband is really vigilant about we go in with like 2 bags of these recycled
I think it is one of the Nestle companies, so I do have a little I am wary of them, but I still love the coffee, and I love that they give you that opportunity to recycle. And they are buying about half of the Rainforest Alliance coffee. And then Starbucks purchases about 90% of its coffee through a private certification organization, CAFE.
Cafe.
Imagine that. But the real problem in coffee these days is the single serve like Keurig. And they are the second most popular way of making coffee. 27% of American drinkers have single-use machines at home. Not a good thing, as that's over 75 million cups made every day.
That's a lot of plastic, going into landfills primarily, because most of it isn't recyclable.
It's so much so that if you line them up next to each other, they would circle the world 10 times.
All right, not once, not twice.
10 times.
Wow, that's a lot of freaking plastic, people.
Yeah, that's just bad, bad, bad. There are, the company itself is responding to people making noise about that, and they're committed to making these polypropylene cups that are recyclable. But let's remind you folks that recycling isn't happening the way we want it to happen right now. So most of those cups are getting incinerated. So
for a brief time, when my husband and I first got married 10 years ago, even though we've been together like 25, it's a long story. But
a long
like
story.
it really is. The only you don't need to know, but the only wedding present, because we really didn't have a wedding, right? So the only real wedding present we got from like his whole family is they pitched in and bought us this Keurig thing, and I'm
They
like,
don't know you very well,
so
do they?
they didn't know at that, and so I was gracious, and we took it home, and I'm like, okay, and. So what I did was buy one of those reusable. They have
Which is
like
what
a gold
you can
cone
do
and
if you
thing.
insist on having this.
I don't use it really, honestly, anymore. I think we donated it to somebody. It might even be here. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, no.
So that is the alternative. You
I
can
like my French
buy
press.
reusable pods and refill them with your own store-bought sustainable coffee,
Not that big of a
or
deal.
you can buy compostable pods, which you can literally throw in your compost, and they will.
They're probably
be
a little bit
be
more
safe.
money, but you can feel
Well, it's
better
all
about
it's
yourself.
all more money. Yes, feel better about yourself every day.
And it's still
all
probably
of these
cheaper than a
decisions-
Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts.
All these changes you make are about feeling better about what you're doing for future generations.
And let's be clear, there is value. People, it's all about money, but there is value in doing the right thing and, thinking about future generations. And Tommy's peeking in. Hi, Tom. Anyway, so I wanted to give a shout out to tea because I'm off the sauce now. I'm not drinking coffee, which is probably why I'm a little weirder and more crabbier than usual. But I love tea. And tea is
I do too.
much like coffee, is one of those products that you need to be mindful about where it's made, how it's made, who's making it. So fair trade, organic, sustainable tea. It is something that's important. Anyway, to me, maybe not to you, but I did a story about it. It's going to be on our website, thegreendivas.com.
That's THEGreendivas.com.
But I did this extensive story about where tea comes from and why, why we need to pay attention to this stuff. Okay,
Right.
I
It's all going to be more expensive and more difficult to find as time goes on, as the climate gets warmer. So,
yeah, it's going to be.
So in keeping with the theme of the day, I kind of moved through my kitchen and my morning. I did my coffee, and then I thought, okay, I cleaned up, and I thought, okay, here's what we could talk about, which I have talked about many, many, many times, and that is the use of paper towels and paper napkins, which we really don't need to be using much of. I can count on one hand how many rolls of paper towel I use in a year, and it's probably less than 5.
Well, it's one of those habits that I have shifted into. We have a big basket of dish towels, cloth dish towels on the counter. I still have paper towels because we have animals and
you
puke
gotta
and
have
things,
some.
whatever. But I also am one of those people that if I use a paper towel, if it's not disgusting, I will reuse it. I will let it dry and I will reuse it because I'm a
but
freak.
if it's going to be that clean a job, then go ahead and use the cloth.
Because, and people are like, but then you have to wash it. And I'm like, yeah, but it's so easy. You throw it in with like your other laundry. It doesn't
take up any
yeah.
room. It's super easy.
So do it. And cloth napkins. And people love it. When people come over and have lunch or dinner and they're like, oh, it's so nice. You have cloth napkins. I'm like, yeah, big deal.
Right.
We're used to it now. It's one of those habits.
Right. It is one of those habits.
And I would
it's
blame
super
Lisa
easy.
for helping me shift that one.
I think she's rolling her eyes again.
Yeah, no, I didn't. But one of the hardest habits for me was remembering to bring reusable bags when I go to the store.
Mm-hmm. And it's now.
I mean, to the point where I had to like put it on a doorknob and trip over it, basically.
Sure. And now that we're used to taking them to the grocery stores, we have to remind ourselves that those cloth bags are good at all stores.
Yes,
Not just The grocery store.
So, that's one of those habits is,
Mm-hmm.
that if you haven't made that shift yet, do it.
And while you're there at the grocery store, you can use these wonderful mesh
Oh, yeah.
produce bags instead of using the plastic bags that they offer at the grocery store.
Well, I was so excited. I bought some of those mesh, produce bags. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited because I'm one of those people that'll have like 10 loose mushrooms when I get to the checkout. And the woman's like, what? Like, you don't believe in plastic? I'm like, no, I don't. So I got these mesh bags, but now I can't remember to bring them. I'm
you
like,
just put them in the other cloth bags along with
working on
when
it.
you're unwrapped. Yeah.
It's really exciting
So that's
when I
the
remember.
point.
Yeah.
That is the point,
See?
is that it takes time to create these new habits.
And then Lisa's like the queen of recycling plastic bags. She's gotten me into the habit, and Wayne is like, oh my God, we have like plastic bags hanging off of everything in the kitchen.
I don't buy Ziploc bags. I don't have to. I haven't had to in a long, long time. And they're, once again, super easy to clean. I turn them inside out. I throw them in my laundry, and then hang them to dry. So it's actually a lot easier than you think to actually wash them. And
so again, it's just another habit. When you start to do it, you realize this is easy. It's not a big deal. And then, of course, stop sucking. We've talked a lot about plastic straws.
right.
And that was another hard habit, which I still haven't broke because you know what? I was working on that. No plastic straw thing when COVID came, and then like we don't go to restaurants anymore.
Right.
Right. So I don't have a chance to practice. But generally speaking, I have a reusable straw in my every bag.
The biggest problem with that is to remember to tell the server not to bring it to your table.
So first you
Because it's
remember to bring
automatic.
one. Yeah. First you got to bring one with you, and then you got to say to the server when she walks away with your drink order, "Don't bring me a straw." And that's me. I'm working on it though, and things like turning off lights. Again, it's just a habit that we get into, just walking in and out of a room, and I've gotten now kind of obsessed with turning off lights.
I'm reminded of a show we did a long, long time ago with Ed Begley about reminding us to unplug things as well. And I do. I actually have where my computer is. If I'm not using it, I unplug it, and I don't leave my phone charger plugged in because all of that stuff.
Yeah, you see that little
just
green light that
sucks.
stays on a
Right.
charger, or
It
the little red
still
light.
sucks electricity, and unfortunately, a lot of that electricity is still run by coal.
It's called vampire energy, and it's not
Vampire.
like the sexy kind. So turn off your faucet. Also, Lisa is really good at reminding me because sometimes, and Wayne is really good. Turn on the faucet and walk away from the sink. And Lisa's like,
It's a
good.
visceral thing for me.
It's good.
I lived in California for 3 years during a drought, and we were having to save our water to flush our toilets and water the trees outside. And I can't listen to water running that isn't being used.
Well, it's not a bad thing. I mean, yes, right where we live right now, we don't have a water problem, but I feel like it's disrespectful in so many ways. There's so many people around the world. In fact, 1.2 billion, with a B, people around the world lack access to safe, clean water.
Crazy numbers.
And even though I just feel like we take it for granted. So, even people in this country are struggling to get safe, clean water. Get Flint, Michigan is still a problem. Other cities are popping up with the similar problems. The Navajo Nation, the Navajo Reservation, many people don't have any running water. It's not just that it's dirty, they don't have any.
Right.
And they actually have to drive around and do deliveries. And this is in our country. North Dakota, fighting for healthy, clean water, against this pipeline mishigas. Come on. So, and then we've done a lot of stories about like leaky toilets and leaky faucets and how much water. So I found this statistic. I said that. 1 trillion with a T gallons of water each year is lost to leaky things. I mean,
You
that's
would really
crazy.
be shocked if you just have a little bit of dripping out of your bathtub faucet. If you stuck a pail under that, you'd be shocked how fast that pail adds up. And so you were talking about being disrespectful, from people that don't have access. I feel pretty much like we should be respectful of the water itself.
Yeah, I agree.
Everything's connected,
Yep.
and it doesn't feel right to be disrespectful to water by not using it when it's so precious.
I'm on board with that. I think if we appreciate it more, it will be plentiful. So, plentiful. Plentiful? Is that a word? No, I'm just like making stuff up. Sorry. So the next thing I was like, think before you buy crap. This is a new habit.
This is such a good habit.
And it's an economic thing as well, but
We don't
because
need
we got
nearly
into,
half.
I got into a habit years ago of just, like going to, I don't know, some dumb store and buying dumb things for the kids that break and throw, almost disposable.
Right.
So I started to just learn to ask myself, do I need this?
Mm-hmm.
How long will it last? Can I fix it? Can it be recycled? All these kind of questions. And you know what? Like 9 times out of 10, I'm like, yeah.
I don't really need it. Yeah.
I so don't shop much anymore. It's kind of weird.
Well,
I mean,
that's
food,
It's been helpful not to have to go to stores,
Yeah,
not to be able to go to stores. I mean,
But then there's
and-
Amazon, like click, click,
Yeah,
click.
that can be
That's
a problem. But
As the
the thing
boxes.
is, it does make you think a little bit differently about purchasing. Just that
Yeah, the
automatic
impulse to
response,
reach,
that
right?
impulse
Yeah.
to, oh, I need one of those. Yeah.
So I said,
Do I?
one of the questions was, can I fix it? And there was an interesting story I found about fixing things. I was looking for statistics on the environmental impact on things we don't fix. It's kind of a hard thing to look for. But CNN did a story, and every year we create 2 billion tons of waste. 99% of the things we buy don't make it past 6 months. So think about how much of that ends up in landfills, right? 1 billion mobile phones, 300 million computers. They're produced annually, and 60% of these devices end up in landfills. So global e-waste is a huge issue. And that's just one thing.
Toxic issue.
Anyway, there's a video. I'm going to put it on the post for this episode.
Right. And we'll talk about clothes and
Oh gosh,
all
that's
of that. That's a whole show. We'll get into that, but that's something you really have to stop and think about, where something's coming from.
Yeah.
How long do you really need it? Will you wear it enough? Blah blah blah. Okay.
Okay, so it's time for another wonderful Companies We Dig by GD Lisa.
This segment, Companies We Dig, which we talk about every week, is brought to you by Your Arbor. Your Arbor is a
Browser extension.
that helps you shop your values. It's when you go into the company, it tells it helps you figure out what your values are, and then it tunes you into the companies you want to shop with and what how their values match up with your values.
They do the homework
they get
for you.
scored.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
great.
do the betting. So it's a
Thank
great.
you, Your Arbor.
So this week's company is Net Zero Company. And Net Zero Company is in the spirit of moving through the day while thinking of ways to share good habits and for humanity. I find myself focusing on this particular company. When I looked through my kitchen and the ways that I do things, I kept running across things that I use from them. So their mission is, at Net Zero, our mission is to be a catalyst for change and a driving force in the low waste movement. To help fulfill this vision of a cleaner world, we create items that can replace daily products with reusable alternatives, all while maintaining the convenience and style of these everyday items. This can make a world of difference. Style is kind of a thing. One of their partners is Eden Reforestation Projects. And so they really do plant a lot of trees. And for every time you shop with them, they make a donation towards projects.
Well, that's so important.
Mostly about tree planting. Here's some of the things that I use. I'm a little bit of an aesthetic snob. So I've always, if I can have a better looking something that I use every day, I'm up for it, especially if I can keep reusing it. So here's some of the things that I have from this company that I use regularly. I use a bamboo toothbrush. I have a bamboo. Oh, I think I have their bamboo hairbrush.
Oh, I have one of those.
Yeah.
Mine's bigger, but yeah. Same.
And then I use cotton cloth produce bags, which are these mesh bags that don't weigh anything, and you can see what's in there and go through the grocery store with those. I just got these silicone stretchy tops for bowls and stuff, so I don't have to use any saran wrap. Wax cloth reusable food wraps, which you also have, and I have a dish brush with a replaceable head, so instead of throwing the plastic dish brush away that we all see everywhere, it's made of wood. I just take the top off and replace the brush, so that's much better.
That's kind of cool. I don't have that one.
Well, you have a birthday coming up.
Just what I wanted.
And then my grandchildren use all of these reusable lunch bits, which will last forever, and they're really great. And the options go on and on and on. But those are some of the things I use every day. And while creating new healthy habits for you and the planet, keep the feeling of being denied at bay.
Right.
By creating a mantra. My mantra is how good it feels to take care of the planet for our children and our children's children. So that's one of the shifts that you can make. Stop feeling like, oh, I don't have this and I can't do that and blah. Get over it. Get over it and think about enjoying the feeling of doing the right thing.
And you do start to feel good about it, about these choices after, a few grumbling moments in the beginning when you're
it doesn't take long to really change.
Well, I think, as we change some of these habits, there is this the awkwardness of forgetting and then you beat yourself up.
Yeah,
don't
you don't
beat
have to
yourself up.
Nope.
There's a saying that I've heard called progress, not perfection. We strive for perfection, but, we'll take some progress.
Yep. New habits take time to change, and practice makes perfect. The one thing that will never change is each generation's dependence on a healthy planet.
Right.
So be the change, folks.
Do it. So, what'd you think?
Let us know.
And in the meantime, follow our YouTube channel. Follow The Green Divas on Instagram, Facebook, all the usual social media hangouts. And now you can ask your smart speaker to play The Green Divas podcast.
And I have a favor. Please share this with your friends. Thanks in advance.